And welcome to the Cardinals Nest. This is the show where we interview St. Mary's University coaches and sometimes some student athletes as well to get caught up on their sports. And today we've got head coach David Foley of the women's basketball team joining us. I'm Dean Beckman, the faculty athletics representative for St. Mary's. Donny Nadeau is the co-host. He's our sports information director. And David, you're in your third season now, and you've got to be chomping at the bit. As we record this, you are finally going to get to play some real competition basketball tonight. So I'll bet you're excited, huh?
Yeah, Dean. First, thanks for having us and all that you guys do. And yeah, we're excited. Myself personally, our coaching staff, all of our players, we're just ready to get on the court and compete. It's been a lot of unknowns. It's been a lot of uncertainty. We're coming off a year where we're ready to prove to people who we are and what we can do. We've got a talented, just excited group right now, and we're so grateful to be able to go out there tonight and compete on our home floor to kick off our regular season in 2021. It's last spring didn't think it would be at this point, but here we are. And like I said, we're just grateful. We're excited. We get to put on our brand new uniforms that we got this past year and go out and just go out there and compete together. And we're excited.
I've talked to every coach that we've been on. I've asked the same question early on in the program, and I think it's an interesting one. And that is, as your third year, the coaching aspect is supposed to become a little bit easier with every year, but there's nothing that could have prepared you for what you've had to do, not only now, but what you had to do in the fall as well. Talk a little bit about the adjustments you had to make and kind of how you handled the fall, because really, you should have had, 8-9 games in before we left for Christmas break.
For sure. And the fall was just up and down, just unknowns, and knowing we weren't going to compete until January, if at all, for sure. We were in a position in our program where our players did a great job with the protocols, did a great job keeping themselves safe and their community safe. And we didn't have any issues within our program throughout the entire fall. So we were in a really good position. I mean, we were ready to play games as a team with our practices in October. And then it was, hey, we got to shut down for 2 months and get ourselves back ready to go. But the fall, it was tough. And I think as a coaching staff and bringing on a new assistant coach and kind of figuring out how we're going to work with this group, and then knowing that we didn't have games on a schedule as we're working through practices, and hey, how much do we want to really grind on them? How much do we want to teach? And how much do we just want to let them go out and just have fun playing the game? We've got a roster that brings back a lot of experience. We've got half of our roster are seniors on this year's squad, and just wanted to keep people engaged, but also make sure that we're ready when that time comes to play. And then over that 2 months off, it didn't really feel like being a basketball coach when you're sitting at home and can't come in the office, can't come to campus, and can't be with your team for Thanksgiving and Christmas and those times that are usually basketball heavy as coaches and players. And it was just a bizarre feeling. But just to go back to question number one, we're ready and we're excited, and we're going to go put on a show tonight. That's the plan.
And I know that basketball coaches especially, you never have enough preparation time. I could ask you in October if you're ready for the season, and you go, nope, haven't had enough practices. But you came back to really the middle of January, and now February 2nd, we're playing a game. In that short amount of time, how have you made this team as ready as it possibly could be for tonight's season opener?
Yeah, I think the philosophy for us was we weren't going to rush into things if we weren't ready. We knew that coming off 2 months, half of our team hadn't even been able to get into a basketball gym on a consistent basis. They were doing home workouts. They're doing kind of things over Zoom and shooting in their backyard, and up in the Midwest this time of year, shooting in your backyard probably isn't going to help you in a college basketball game. It's nice to have a ball in your hand, but I think that we took those first 4 or 5 days just to get their legs and their bodies and their minds ready to be competitive again. And then by Friday of that first week, putting the ball in their hands and going 5-on-5 some and just easing into it. And we've communicated with them. It's not going to be a team where, hey, we're not going to have every system in place. We're not going to have every concept in place, but we can go out there and play as hard as we can. We can go out there and be competitive and be on the same page with everything that we do. And we've got, like I said, a lot of experience, a lot of talent, and a lot of hungriness to go out there and be successful. And I think that's really going to pay off for us in the long run, where we have that type of environment within our program. So, yeah, like you said, as a coach, every coach wants to have all their T's dotted and all the X's crossed and all those things. But for us, we're going to go out and compete. We're going to enjoy this season, and we're going to take every game as something to be grateful for.
David, I do want to say I think there's something to be said for playing in your driveway because it allows me to dunk on my 7-foot rim a snowball at least in the wintertime.
Yeah, those size hoops are the only dunking I've been doing in a number of years. So I hear you. Besides donuts and 7-foot hoops.
Right. I think you'll be happy to hear. I was chatting the other day with Claire Patterson, and one of your senior leaders, of course, one of the guards on your team, and your players are just as excited as you are to get started. I mean, she was talking a mile a minute about the team and the excitement to get started again. And she also mentioned a scrimmage that you had with St. Thomas. So kind of tell us about that and your takeaways. I would imagine, from a conference standpoint, no team better to scrimmage right off the bat than St. Thomas, just to kind of to get a good feel about where your team is at.
Yeah, I mean, to go up against Ruth and her program at St. Thomas, so this is their last year in Division III in the league, and to go up against a team that we know is going to be quality coached, that we know is going to have some of the best players in the entire conference and has been in that top mix. They had their undefeated streak, and it was good to have that quality opponent just to see where we're at. And what we saw on Saturday is that our conditioning level with that week and a half practice time wasn't necessarily ready right off the bat, and it kind of shocked us a little bit. But I think it was almost the best thing for us to see, hey, this is what we need to do to be successful. We didn't necessarily keep score throughout that game, but coming into halftime, we knew we needed to make some adjustments just on our communication and our effort. And really, that was one of the first times we had been able to compete without a mask on. So one, just to see all their faces, but then also to have them kind of have that comfort level of being able to communicate like you need to at a high level, and coming out in the third and fourth quarters in that scrimmage. And we played a fifth quarter as well. See the things that we can do to go toe-to-toe with one of those top teams in the league in a scrimmage setting gave us a lot of confidence. We know every night is going to be a battle. We know that the 8 teams that are standing right now in the MIAC are historically in that top mix every year, and that every game that we have in these 7 conference games is going to be against a quality opponent, and we're going to have to bring it. So to have that confidence of, hey, we can make adjustments, we can figure things out, we can go toe-to-toe with some of the best teams in our league. And we just got to do that on a consistent basis.
And you had mentioned, Coach, that, you kind of wanted to put 2019-20 in the rearview mirror, but really the end of that season, I think really kind of showed what you expected from this team. I mean, you had, you look at your last 5 to 7 games, and you guys were very, very good. You gave Bethel their first loss of the season when a 20-game winning streak, and you beat them. And I think that, you got to feel a little bit of confidence knowing that everything started to come together at the end of last year. And now this year, like you said, you've got a lot of returners back. Talk a little bit about the importance of the end of last year and helping you coming into this year.
Yeah, I think the way we finished was huge. We've talked even over the last 6-7 months about how we wish that season would have lasted a little bit longer, because it took us 15 games to start to get our feet under us. There were some roster changes, there were some culture things that we had to continue to work through, and we just had to find an identity. And I think with a new team like we had, graduating one of the best players in conference history with Brandy Bladner, and then kind of moving into a new system, a new style, a new kind of identity, and then we just kind of struggled to find that. I didn't do a very good job of leading us to where we needed to be, and it took a little bit of time. And just hats off to our players for staying resilient, staying just together through some of those ups and downs, and finding a way to get ourselves to where we finished. And now, in any type of college athletics, but you have to learn how to win. And the MIAC is incredibly deep. And even last year, teams that were at the bottom were now in the middle, and teams in the middle were working up. And we were the one that kind of dropped down a little bit. But to have 4 overtime games, to have as many close games as we did, we learned a lot. We learned the toughness, we learned the resilience, the just togetherness that it takes. It's not 1 or 2 people that can go out and win a MIAC women's basketball game. And now taking those lessons moving forward is only going to help our program.
You know, earlier you had talked about all the seniors on your team, but you're also coming back with a lot of experienced juniors and sophomores. Ashley Strevler is just one that instantly comes to mind, and some juniors as well that played a lot, because you had been playing with a pretty young team. So now they're finally getting to the point now where they really are veterans.
Yeah, and I think, all of our returners are going to be just such impact players for us. They've grown. That's hard to kind of go through that, where they couldn't even play pickup games in the summer, and it was hard to find gym space. But then they found ways to make themselves better. They've been just in the gym as much as they can, and I think that group of seniors is so hungry, and it is motivating and pushing our team. The juniors, Brooklyn Paulson is somebody that is really going to shine again. She's had 2 great years as freshman and sophomore, and she's somebody that's just a special player at our level, and she's we're expecting her to have another great season for us and going to put her in a lot of great positions. But I think our focus as a group is just to be as cohesive as we can. We have some new concepts, some new things that we're doing offensively that have spread the floor a little bit for us. We've been a very inside oriented team, especially offensively, and it's kind of slowed us down a little bit and put our guards in positions where they didn't have a lot of space. And we've got some guards in our program right now that are going to be able to use the new style and new space and new lanes that we're looking to give them to really make it successful. And we saw a lot of that on Saturday, and we're hoping to see a lot of that tonight.
You know, if you look at David, if you could, kind of a two-part question, but what do you see as what has been the biggest challenge for you, COVID related, to this season? And then what is the biggest challenge in general for the program as you head into, like you said, really an 11-game schedule with 7 conference games?
Yeah, I think COVID related is just the uncertainty and the unknowns that, with testing 3 times a week and not knowing when you wake up in the morning, is everybody testing negative? Is everyone feeling okay? And then just the mental side too, that life is so just kind of different right now. And it's just a strange feeling sometimes. So for myself, our coaching staff, and especially for our players, just to make sure that we're all able to kind of keep focus on those little things and the little wins that we have every day and the things that we can be grateful for moving forward. Because it's really hard to fall into a kind of a rut at times where you just don't know. All of our successful student athletes are type A personalities for the most part, and want to have their schedules out and want to have plans in place and want to have these things kind of mapped out weeks, months ahead. And we're just not able to do some of those things to make them feel comfortable. So just to try and ease that has been something that we've tried to focus on, and is a challenge that we're trying to get better at every day. And I think for season wise, that same kind of mentality, that we're just going to be grateful and we're going to be excited. And we know that there still is unknowns. There still is uncertainty as far as what the future holds. But hey, Hamlin's on the bus coming down here right now, and we're ready to tip that thing off and play. And then we're not going to take any of those for granted. And to have 11 games and we're used to 25 plus, that's frustrating, but it's better than 0. And we're going to go out there, and these seniors are going to put themselves in a position to lead this program in a great spot. And then the rest of our program, we're just going to keep moving forward.
David, talk about your maturation as a head coach now in your 3rd year here at St. Mary's, because really year 1 was barely a year 1 because you got dropped into the middle of it basically at the very start of the season. Yeah. So in many ways, year 2 is almost like a regular year 1. And so talk about how much maybe better it is now in year 3. You know your players, you know what they're capable of. You talked about developing some new schemes offensively, and a lot of that probably stems from just your knowledge of what they can and can't do.
Yeah, and I think you talked about year 1. To show up, my first day was the first day of classes, and they knew campus better than me. I was wandering around, and they were helping me find things, which was amazing. We had a special group that year. To have the senior group that we had with Brandy, Kirsten, and Mary to do the things that they did. And then year 2, a lot of excitement around the program. There's a lot of talent on the roster, and we just had kind of an up and down kind of year. So going into year 3, to get our coaching staff to the place where it is now was really important. Natalie did a great job for us in my first 2 years, and she has moved on since and found another next step for her professional career. And we brought on a new assistant, Jordan Scar, an experienced recruiter, an experienced coach, someone from the area that can really dig down and help us recruit and rebuild our roster from a talent perspective. But then also just another good defensive mind that's going to come in and help us get to where we need to be. I was a little maybe naive to the MIAC and how quality and how competitive it is from top to bottom. and now to have that understanding, to have that humbled year last year, that, hey, we got to really buckle down and get things where it needs to be competitive in this conference, and to learn a lot over that time, to have the quarantine, to really sit into film and read and kind of make myself better in all ways to continue to improve. And yeah, I think that maturation process is never going to stop. But it was a very good kind of spring, summer, fall for us to get our program, to get myself and our coaching staff in the right place. So, you know, like I said, we're excited that what's going to happen this season. Hey, this is just a strange year. Anything can happen. But I know moving forward that we're going to send these seniors off in a great way. We're going to have a very talented new coming group joining our returners for next year and keep it moving.
You know, I was going to mention, first off, I was going to mention Jordan, and you know, he seems like he's going to be a great addition for you. Got to spend about 3 hours with him when we were doing the testing for the school, and he was helping out with me, and seems like a great basketball mind. But you know, obviously it's a great help for you. How do you? Okay, you go into the locker room tonight to give your pregame pep talk, whatever you do. How do you make sure that you don't overemphasize that every game is so important because there's only 11 of them, but yet make sure that that message gets across that, hey, we can't afford an off day because there's only 11 games. There's that fine line between those
Right.
two. How do you broach that?
I think tonight we won't have any issue getting them ready to go or getting them excited. They've been waiting a long time to play. To have our first regular season game at home, I think we'll go in there. We'll talk through our scout. We'll talk through our keys to win. We'll talk through some of the things that we need to focus on to put ourselves in a position to be successful. And I don't think I'll have to pull anything out of a notebook or anything out of a reading or anything like that. They're ready, and yeah, we're not. We know that, hey, this is our first non-conference game. There's a little bit of kind of, hey, let's get our feet under us here, but they're ready to compete. And I think this team is ready to show the rest of the conference, our campus, our campus community, what they can do. And we're excited to get a chance at that tonight.
Well, David, now we just want to have a little bit of fun, ask you some fun, kind of lighthearted, personal questions. And really, we don't even know what we're going to ask, but we'll make them up as we go along, just a few from each of us. And so I'll start. And earlier you brought up reading. Maybe what's a book or two that you looked at this summer, could be coaching related, non-coaching related, that kind of got you excited?
Ooh, that's a good one. The Pistol Pete kind of autobiography book was a good one for us this summer. I like reading anything Coach K related. He's got 4 or 5 that I've got in my library. Mm-hmm. The Ricky and Keel story was a good one, just kind of dealing with just kind of mental health and mental kind of stability and all.
I have read that one. Yes.
Yep. That was very interesting. And even remember my family's, my parents are both from St. Louis, and my dad's a huge Cardinals fan. So to remember kind of seeing some of those things when I was younger, kind of as that stuff was going on, it's like, whoa, what's not understanding that in the moment, but then being able
to read. What's the yips?
Yeah, the yips. Yeah. I didn't want to say it just because, that's such a.
Yeah. It's a great book. It really is. And you're right, for just mental toughness and what he had to kind of overcome with that was really a fascinating read.
Yeah.
You know, I know that you didn't want to be quote unquote off for basically 3 months between Thanksgiving and when you guys came back. But what was the one thing that you really enjoyed or got to enjoy about being off in its time when usually you are going crazy with basketball?
Yeah, I think just spending time with family was nice. My significant other, we purchased a home here in Winona, so getting our home organized and all the painting, and part of me wishes I was in the office for that period just because we had such a list of things that I had to do. But just to spend time with loved ones and to get out and enjoy the outdoors. Winona is just a beautiful place, an amazing place. And during the summer, I mean, we're on the road recruiting, we're traveling, we're doing camps, and a lot of that time is spent on the road, and just to be at home was definitely a blessing and a positive over that time. I'm excited to get back on the road full time and do a lot of those things that we've done. But it was really great just to enjoy, to have some flexibility during that time. So.
All right, we'll each ask one more question. I'm going to ask a follow-up. If you could camp anywhere in the United States, where might you like to spend, say, a week camping?
That's a good question. My significant other is actually very, she's trying to, I've never actually been camping. I've never slept outside in a tent. So I'm more of a lodge or a hotel guy, but
I'm right there with you, David.
Yeah, I think anywhere in Colorado be out in the mountains and get a little wilderness. I'd be a little scared of bears. I'm just not a big snake, bug, outdoor animal person at times. I like to know my surroundings and what's around me. But I think Colorado would be a great place. I mean, not a lot of poisonous snakes out there, which is one of my biggest fears. But
I think Donny might agree with you. Now, Donny is an experienced camper, so he could give you a few tips and stuff. But yeah.
Colorado, you can't go wrong in Colorado. Wyoming would be good for you.
Yeah.
But if you're afraid of the snakes, I think Colorado and Wyoming, you'll be just fine.
Good. And growing up in Texas and I was in Louisiana before coming up here, and I wouldn't want to camp there with the gators and the snakes and the scorpions and bugs. So in Winona, I'll have to find a campground and maybe get my feet wet and just kind of put a tent down. Maybe I'll do that in my backyard when the weather gets a little nicer, just so I can.
All right. So for the final question, I'm throwing the gauntlet down.
Okay.
Foley versus Fano.
Okay.
Who wins in one-on-one?
Like a basketball game here. Okay. I mean, I'm never going to bet against myself in that situation. I love Coach Fano. I think he's I've seen him shoot a little bit, but my size and my ability to score in all three levels, I think I'd be a big challenge for him. If we're going full court, I think that would give him a little bit more of an advantage, as my conditioning isn't where it used to be. But in the half court, I don't see him having any chance being able to stop me if I get to my spots. So
how about if it were a game of hockey?
If it was a game of hockey, then I would be stuck on the wall because I don't know how to ice skate. So, if you can move around on the ice, you're going to beat me there. So I grew up in Texas. We played just kind of stick hockey with just our shoes on. So I've never been a rollerblader or an ice skater. So hockey, I love watching. I love our teams, and the NHL is great, but that's not a game where I get out there and skate around and play. So
basically, you're just going to school Fano and no matter what, right? So if I said tennis, I assume you're all over it there too?
I don't know. Coach Fano, he kind of might have a country club background there. So I'm not a big tennis guy. So I might get a text or a call from him after this. But he might have me in tennis. I think basketball, football, soccer, baseball, I think I'd be okay in. But golf, I think he'd get me in golf probably. But
okay, real quick, and I know we got to go, but this is just a setup question. But your favorite baseball player?
Ooh, now this is kind of controversial because I think my favorite player of all time is Barry Bonds. And I know there's a lot of things with off the field and the steroids and some of those things, but that was kind of my prime there when I was a high school and college baseball player, and that was the peak of his. But he's probably my favorite player that I've seen. My younger brother, I got to throw him in there too. He was a professional baseball player for 6 years and played with the Yankees farm system and the Rockies farm system. So he's up there. But I think Barry Bonds, and then now, I mean, Mike Trout is somebody that you love to watch. And I'm a big baseball guy, having the college experience, and my younger brother and family's big on baseball. So, but I think Barry Bonds is my guy. So,
and I know Bonds is controversial, but all you have to do is look at the intentional walks to know he's the most feared hitter in baseball history, I think. So.
Anybody, when you're watching SportsCenter or ESPN and they cut to just his at-bats and watch just their games, I mean, that doesn't happen very often. I don't know if we'll ever see that again, that 2-year stretch he had, and pretty amazing. So.
All right, that's going to do it for this Cardinals Nest. David Foley, our head women's basketball coach. Thanks for being on the show, especially on game day. I know you got a lot to do, so good luck here this season.
Thanks, David.
I appreciate it. Thanks for everything. Go Cardinals.
All right, that's going to do it for Cardinals Nest. Thanks for watching.